At 5:17 local time, the surface search radar aboard a U.S. Navy Nimitz-class aircraft carrier picks up 3 new contacts on the eastern horizon. Small hulls, high speed, bearing 094, moving at 28 knots and accelerating. No prior radio call, no AIS signal, no request to alter course, just pure geometry unfolding in real time. Inside the Combat Information Center, the tactical action officer leans closer as the symbols tighten across the screen. 3 fast surface contacts, converging course. The carrier continues at 19 knots on a steady heading. No turn is ordered. 5:18. 2 larger radar returns appear behind the fast movers. Heavier displacement, slower acceleration, most likely frigate-class hulls. They are not casually following behind. They are forming the rear anchor of an emerging pattern. Distance 6.2 nautical miles and closing. On the bridge, binoculars confirm long white wake plumes stretching sharper by the minute. Iranian fast attack craft. Low profile, angular shape, forward-mounted rails visible even at range. The officer of the deck keeps his tone calm. Track all contacts. Log every course change. Maintain present heading. No alarm sounds, no dramatic movement follows. But in CIC, every console is now locked onto 5 contacts and nothing else. 5:19. The 3 fast craft begin spreading out laterally. One moves north of the carrier's projected track, another angles south. The third continues straight in. This is not random. It is not curiosity. It is a crescent taking shape. Off the carrier's starboard quarter, the escorting Arleigh Burke-class destroyer raises SPY-1 radar tracking priority. Fire control systems remain inactive, but the radar picture sharpens into high resolution. Closest point of approach updates again, 1.9 nautical miles and falling. 5:20. One of the fast boats surges to 32 knots. Its bow lifts slightly as the engines dig in harder. The wake thickens. Another reduces speed just enough to widen the arc. The crescent tightens. Flight deck activity pauses. Yellow shirt directors hold aircraft in place. Chains are checked again. Ordnance teams secure exposed panels and step clear of open stations. No one rushes. The movement simply becomes tighter, smaller, more deliberate. 5:21. Long-range optics from the carrier's island zoom in. On the lead Iranian craft, the forward-mounted system shifts a few degrees. Not fully trained, not locked. Just aligned enough to send a message without a single word. On the electronic warfare consoles, operators detect intermittent radar sweeps from the trailing frigate. Search mode, broadbeam, no targeting tone, but unmistakably intentional. 5:22. A bridge-to-bridge transmission goes out. Unidentified Iranian naval vessels. This is a United States warship conducting lawful transit in international waters. Alter course immediately. Silence. The message is repeated in Farsi. Still nothing. The carrier's wake remains steady and unbroken. 5:23. Range drops below 4 nautical miles. The Iranian frigates widen slightly, shaping the outer edge of the growing enclosure. The fast craft hold the inner arc. This is no longer simple harassment. This is positioning. Inside CIC, a surface warfare officer marks the projected intercept geometry. They are trying to compress sea room. The carrier refuses to give it up. 5:24. One fast attack craft cuts 15 degrees across the carrier's projected bow track. Not yet inside 1 nautical mile, but still closing. The escort destroyer makes a subtle bearing adjustment, just enough to stay between the nearest fast boat and the carrier's flank. Its 5-inch mount rotates 5 degrees starboard. Visible, controlled, measured, no targeting radar, just presence. 5:25. Range now stands at 2.8 nautical miles. The crescent is nearly complete. The Iranian vessels are no longer acting as individual contacts. They are moving as a coordinated surface screen, attempting to box in the carrier from the east while the heavier hulls hold the rear boundary. The sea stays calm, wind is below 10 knots, visibility is nearly perfect. Nothing in the water itself suggests danger. Everything in the geometry does. 5:26. Another radio hail is transmitted. You are maneuvering unsafely. Your actions are being recorded. Still no answer. On the horizon, the heat shimmer reveals thickening exhaust from the fast boats. They are pushing their engines hard. The carrier remains steady at 19 knots. No increase in speed, no turn to port, no turn to starboard, no outward sign of strain. But from the bridge to CIC, everyone understands the same thing. Iran believes it is closing a surface net. The arc is nearly sealed at less than 2 nautical miles. 5 hulls, tightening geometry, no communication. The box is forming and it is closing fast. 5:27 local time. The surface picture is already tense. Then the subsurface picture changes everything. Inside the escorting destroyer's sonar control, a faint low-frequency signature cuts through the ocean's background hum. Not merchant traffic, not marine life. Mechanical, rhythmic. Bearing 142. Range approximately 9,000 yards. depth uncertain. The sonar supervisor reacts immediately. Possible diesel, electric, transient contact marked. Seconds later, a second passive array confirms it. The acoustic signature matches a known profile. Kilo class, part of Iran's inventory. The standoff is no longer limited to the surface. It has expanded into every layer of the battle space. 5:28. The carrier strike group shifts posture without any announcement. No alarms, no raised voices, just quiet, disciplined transitions. Anti-submarine procedures begin. On the flight deck of the nearest Arleigh Burke-class destroyer, an MH-60R Seahawk is already powering up. Rotor blades blur into motion. Within 3 minutes of the first confirmed underwater contact, the helicopter lifts cleanly into the morning sky. Above the surface, the Iranian crescent continues to tighten. Beneath it, something is moving in step. 5:30. The nearest fast attack craft closes to 2.5 nautical miles. One Iranian vessel slices across the carrier's wake, deliberately passing inside the projected bow track before drifting slightly outward again. It is clearly intentional. The maneuver is logged as unsafe. Behind them, the Iranian frigates widen their spacing, holding the outer arc. They are not charging forward. They are shaping space, preserving the enclosure. On the bridge, the officer of the deck remains calm. Maintain course, maintain speed. 19 knots, steady, 5:31. The Seahawk reaches the destroyer's last sonar bearing and begins its search pattern. The crew transitions to active detection. Dipping sonar enters the water. The first ping rolls through the ocean like a controlled pulse, a clear signal of presence without a single shot fired. Moments later, the echo returns. Solid submarine contact confirmed. 5:32. The Kilo-class submarine changes depth almost immediately. Sonar picks up a shift in propeller rhythm, a slight rise in RPM. It is adjusting, testing the edges. The Seahawk pilot circles wide, keeping safe separation from the tightening surface formation while maintaining full acoustic coverage. Iran's surface and subsurface elements are now operating in close coordination. This is no longer simple pressure. It is layered pressure. 5:33. Electronic warfare consoles aboard the carrier pick up intermittent radar sweeps from one of the Iranian frigates. The beam is narrower now, the energy output slightly stronger. Still search mode. Still short of fire control behavior, but closer to that threshold. Inside the Combat Information Center, one surface warfare coordinator studies both layers of the tactical display. Blue symbols grouped tightly together, red arcs pressing inward, and now a subsurface track moving beneath the outer edge. They're attempting multi-axis containment, he says quietly. No one argues. 5:34. The Iranian fast attack craft close to within 2 nautical miles. Their wake patterns shorten as they fine-tune throttle, preserving position relative to one another. The crescent is almost sealed from the east. The Kilo-class submarine now sits roughly 7,500 yards off the carrier's port quarter, offset beneath the outer frigate line. Overhead, the Seahawk drops a staggered sonobuoy pattern, building an acoustic net across the water. With every return, the submarine's movement becomes clearer. Iran may be probing, but it is also being mapped in real time. 5:35. The submarine shifts course 5 degrees south and descends again. Under active pings, the acoustic picture sharpens. There is no sign of an immediate strike, no launch transient, no sudden break in the pattern. But proximity alone changes the equation. This is no longer symbolic, it is positional. 5:36. One Iranian fast boat surges briefly to 34 knots, trying to close inside 1.8 nautical miles. The escort destroyer answers with a subtle correction, sliding half a degree into the intercept lane. Its 5-inch mount turns slightly, just enough to be seen clearly from the Iranian deck. No radar spike, no overt escalation. Just a message delivered through movement alone. 5:37. Every layer of the encounter is now locked in place. Surface, subsurface, and air. No one has broken formation. No one has backed away. But the margin for error is shrinking by the minute, and every move now carries weight far beyond its size. The carrier does not flinch. No turn. No increase in speed. Just 19 knots cutting through calm water. The sea looks almost too peaceful, blue and smooth, broken only by the white lines of converging wakes. Beneath that calm surface, the Kilo-class submarine begins to slip laterally away, slowly opening the distance under the steady pressure of the Seahawk's dipping sonar. It has been fixed in the acoustic picture. Inside that net, stealth is no longer an advantage. 5:38. The Iranian crescent still holds. Surface vessels remain within 1.7 nautical miles. The submarine is withdrawing, but it has not disappeared. No shots, no launch sequence. And yet every layer of the encounter is active, from the surface to the water below. Iran appears to believe it is still squeezing down the available sea room, but the carrier strike group has already stretched the contest into 3 dimensions, and the geometry is starting to shift. 5:39 local time. the sea is no longer the only axis that matters. New air contacts. 2 tracks lifting from a coastal airfield on bearing 067, speed building. The call comes from the E-2D Hawkeye, orbiting high above the strike group, its radar reaching far past the horizon and pulling new pieces into the board. 2 Iranian fighters, likely F-4 Phantoms. Distance 110 nautical miles, vectoring out over the water. They are not descending yet. They are not fully pressing in, but they are climbing into the same space. Inside the carrier's Combat Information Center, posture changes once again. Set condition 1. No sirens, no shouting, just systems tightening quietly into full readiness. 5:40. On the flight deck, 2 FA-18E Super Hornets taxi into launch position. Their configuration makes the message clear. Air-to-air, AIM-12 OAMRAAMs mounted under the fuselage. AIM-9X sidewinders on the tips. Steam builds beneath the catapults. Final checks move quickly and without wasted motion. 5:41. The first Hornet launches. Afterburners flare, engines thunder, and the jet is gone, climbing hard into the pale morning sky. The second follows moments later. Air superiority does not need an announcement. It claims altitude and lets that speak for itself. 5:42. The Iranian surface vessels notice almost immediately through long-range optics. Crews aboard the fast attack craft track the fighters rising overhead. Their speeds begin to vary slightly. Along the northern arc, the crescent loosens by roughly 200 yards. A small shift, but a real one. 5:43. Above 25,000 feet, the Super Hornets level off and begin vectoring toward the incoming Iranian aircraft. The Hawkeye feeds targeting data quietly, maintaining passive control without aggressive broadcasting. No fire control radar yet, just awareness, positioning, and advantage. 5:44. Below, the Seahawk continues its anti-submarine pattern. A second sonobuoy drops directly over the last known Kilo-class bearing. The acoustic return grows stronger. The submarine's propulsion rhythm changes again. RPM drops, depth stabilizes. Its heading drifts farther south. It is no longer holding ground, it is opening distance. 5:45. One Iranian fast attack craft tries to tighten formation again on the carrier's port side, pushing inside 1.3 nautical miles. The escorting destroyer answers with a subtle 12-degree shift to starboard, putting steel directly between the fast mover and the carrier's hull. The destroyer's 5-inch mount turns a few degrees more. Visible, intentional, controlled, no targeting radar spike, no move beyond posture. 5:46. The Iranian fighters are now 75 nautical miles out. The Super Hornets are already above them. Altitude advantage secured, closure rate controlled. The Iranian jets adjust throttle and ease back slightly, holding distance rather than pressing forward. They know they are being watched from a stronger position. 5:47. Electronic warfare consoles aboard the carrier detect no lock tones, no fire control spikes from the air contacts. The air layer is present but cautious. On the surface, the Iranian crescent remains within 1.5 nautical miles. Engines still loud, wake still crossing in white foam. But the geometry is no longer the same. The box no longer has a ceiling. 5:48. The Seahawk transmits an updated acoustic classification. Kilo-class contact now at 11,000 yards, bearing drifting south-southwest. The submarine is no longer in a position to reinforce the surface pressure. Its leverage is fading with every minute. 5:49. One of the Super Hornets dips slightly lower in altitude, an unmistakable sign of readiness. Still outside visual merge, still measured, not provocative. The Iranian fighters bank gently and alter course several degrees away from the strike group's center line. They do not commit. The air layer dissolves before any direct encounter. 5:50. On the surface, the Iranian fast boats hold formation, but their throttles come back little by little. Their wakes shorten. The outer frigates widen spacing, no longer supporting a tight crescent. The enclosure is no longer balanced. On the carrier's bridge, no one celebrates, no one relaxes. The officer of the deck keeps the same steady voice. Maintain course, maintain speed, 19 knots, unbroken. 5:51. Air control is now established. Underwater pressure is fading. The surface arc remains dangerous, but it is no longer backed by the same layered support. Iran attempted a multi-layer containment, surface, subsurface, and air. The surface net is still visible, but its structure is starting to come apart. Above the water, the Super Hornets hold their orbit. Below, the Seahawk keeps acoustic dominance. Around the carrier, the crescent no longer tightens. It hesitates. And for the first time since 5:17, the geometry is no longer moving toward enclosure. It is beginning to move toward control. 5:52. On sonar, the Kilo-class submarine continues opening the gap, now beyond 13,000 yards and still increasing. Propeller rhythm remains steady. Withdrawal is confirmed. The underwater layer is no longer supporting the pressure on the surface. 5:53. The Iranian frigates begin edging outward, first by 5 degrees, then by 7. The spacing between hulls grows wider. The once tight crescent starts to come apart. The fast boat that had crossed ahead reduces speed to 24 knots and eases back toward its earlier position. 5:54. For the first time since the initial contact, Iranian radio traffic breaks the silence. United States naval vessel, you are operating near Iranian waters. Adjust course. The transmission is controlled, not heated. The reply from the carrier's bridge comes immediately. Iranian naval vessels, this is a United States warship conducting lawful transit in international waters. Your unsafe maneuvers are being recorded. No raised tone, no threats, just a calm statement for the record. 5:55. Overhead, the Super Hornets continue their combat air patrol. Altitude advantage remains firmly in place. The Iranian fighters, now 60 miles away, turn farther inland. On the Hawkeye's display, their radar signatures begin to fade. They are not coming into engagement range. The air layer has fully unraveled. 5:56. The surface picture shifts decisively. The fast attack craft slow to 21 knots, their wake trails shorten. The range begins to open gradually, 1.4 nautical miles, then 1.7. The frigates keep widening outward, abandoning the enclosure pattern altogether. What had been a crescent is now little more than a loose line. 5:57. The escorting destroyer returns to its original bearing, sliding back into its standard protective station relative to the carrier. Its 5-inch mount rotates back to a neutral position. At no point was targeting radar activated. The response never moved beyond posture and positioning. 5:58. The Seahawk climbs slightly and shifts to passive monitoring of the retreating submarine track. Sonobuoys continue to pick up weaker and weaker returns. The underwater threat is no longer close. Surface pressure is easing. The air layer has already stepped away. 5:59. The nearest Iranian vessel is now beyond 2 nautical miles and still widening the distance. No ship remains on a direct intercept path. The box has broken apart. Iran did not fire. The carrier strike group did not turn. Control was established without a shot. 6 o'clock. On the bridge, nothing changes. 19 knots, steady heading, calm sea state. No dramatic announcement, no visible release of tension, just routine. But inside the logs, every radar track, every sonar return, every movement is preserved. Iran attempted layered pressure across 3 domains: surface action, underwater positioning, and air presence. Each layer appeared in sequence. Each layer was answered in sequence without pushing beyond what was necessary. 6:02. Iranian vessels are now 4.5 nautical miles off the starboard quarter, separation continuing to grow. They are no longer converging, no longer compressing sea room. The crescent that began forming at 5:17 has dissolved back into open water. The sea returns to its misleading calm, but the message has changed. Containment demands commitment. Commitment demands a willingness to push further. Iran tested proximity. The carrier strike group tested resolve. And when the decisive moment came at less than 1 nautical mile, only one side changed the geometry. The carrier never did. 6:04. The E-2D Hawkeye confirms the Iranian fighters have fully reversed course. Their radar signatures shrink back toward the coastline. The air layer is over. Above the carrier, the 2 Super Hornets remain in controlled orbit. Altitude steady, speed disciplined. They do not chase. They do not grandstand. They simply hold their position. 6:05. On sonar, the Kilo-class submarine fades beyond 15,000 yards. Its acoustic profile weakens with distance. The Seahawk shifts from active pinging to passive listening. Sonobuoys continue recording, capturing the submarine's retreat in full detail. Its acoustic signature is now preserved, updated, refined, and added to the wider tracking library used to map adversary capabilities. No torpedoes, no countermeasures, but valuable intelligence has still been gained. 6:07. The surface picture settles. Iranian frigates widen even farther, now more than 6 nautical miles offset from the carrier's flank. The fast attack craft reduced to 18 knots, paralleling but no longer closing. The geometry that once threatened to squeeze sea room has dissolved into open separation. On the bridge, the officer of the deck speaks in the same even tone as before. Maintain course, maintain speed. 19 knots unchanged since 5:17. That is the point. 6:10. Flight deck operations resume in calm, measured order. Chains come off. Deck crews return to their precise choreographed movement. No rushing, no visible adrenaline. Above, combat air patrol continues on schedule. The moment passes the way the most dangerous moments often do. Not with spectacle, but with discipline. Below deck, intelligence teams replay the radar picture at accelerated speed, tracing Iranian emissions, measuring response windows, and logging every throttle change that appeared around the breakpoint at 550. The value of that data will come later. 6:13. Electronic warfare consoles confirm the Iranian frigates have stopped their directed search sweeps and returned to broader, less focused scans. The line between probing and signaling was approached, then abandoned, without a missile, without a warning shot, without the encounter spilling into something larger. 6:15. The carrier strike group eases back into standard formation spacing. Destroyers return to their usual stations. Acoustic nets begin to retract as the submarine contact drifts beyond immediate operational concern. The sea regains its calm symmetry, but the situation is no longer the same. Iran attempted layered pressure across 3 domains. Surface maneuvering inside 1 nautical mile. Underwater positioning within torpedo envelope distance. Air presence moving out from shore. Each layer applied deliberately. Each layer answered with precision. Air control was established before visual merge. The submarine was localized and pushed into withdrawal. The surface geometry was broken at less than 1 nautical mile. Dominance in escalation was maintained without escalation itself. 6:18. There is no public announcement. No immediate statement for cameras. Later, the encounter will probably be reduced to careful phrases like unsafe maneuvering, professional response, lawful transit. But inside the tactical logs, the picture is exact. Iran tested reaction time. Iran tested formation discipline. Iran tested proximity. What it met was controlled restraint backed by layered capability. 6:20. The carrier moves through open water exactly as it did before the first radar contact appeared. Same heading, same speed, same sea state. The real difference cannot be seen from the horizon. Electronic signatures have been captured, acoustic patterns refined, operational behavior analyzed. The box that nearly closed at 5:26 never fully sealed, because geometry alone does not create control. Control belongs to the side that can go further, yet chooses not to. The Iranian vessels remain visible in the distance, small steel silhouettes against the brightening morning. They are not pulling away in dramatic fashion, and they are no longer pressing forward. They are simply there, farther off now, while the carrier strike group continues its transit. No damage to the hull, no smoke over the water, but the message is clear. Containment demands commitment. Commitment demands a willingness to cross the line. And at 5:50, with less than a nautical mile between steel and steel, one side paused while the other held course.